How's it going, everybody? I think I'm going to make the call for um, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve. I think I'm going to make that call. 19th is still extremely high watch. Sunday has a day of its own to it. So does Tuesday, for different numerical reasons. But that 19th, yes, that's big. But to me now, even bigger, New Year's Eve. This video is just for New Year's Eve. So I want to take a look at some things first to show you, um, at Trey Stokes Daily Bible Studies, I did show how the eighth Gator coach, once that went into play,
But the eighth is up.
that last item, by the way, that coach was hired on 11/30, which is 11/3 code, which is the opening of One World Trade Tower. So that's a big deal. And what else? And they did a tip of the spear uh, parody also on Paul Feinbaum. We know Trump is tip of the spear. I did another video about how the film um, The Apprentice has 88 on the wall and Christ on this wall and 666 all on this wall in the movie. And so make sure you check that out. But I did a video, two videos last night at Trey Stokes Daily
About
Bible
Rise, I didn't even
Studies
subscribe.
about how the beginning of Knives Out, this Wake Up Dead Man, which represents the rising. So this will be the final as we're here at these end times. Daniel Craig, who always plays James. Daniel Craig, who's always representing the Antichrist, excuse me. 007, the Seventh King of Mystery Babylon, and so on and so forth. Um, did this video. Um, the length of it is 226 22614. 614 is his birthday, and it's fused with next year, the year 2026. Drop the zero, 226. So is Dead Man going to wake up or rise in 2026? Well, as we're looking at the event for New Year's Eve, and you two did do a song called New Year's Eve, that would be something to sort of behold, right? So that's the length in total of Knives Out, Wake Up Dead Man. And then the other video.
At the 2226, that's
So with 22226 left in the movie, because it starts counting down backwards. And it was at the 348 mark. Now, 34 is murder in the same base cipher that has his name. So we can go ahead and look that up. Gematria calculator. So let's go ahead and look up murder. And it's 34 in reduction. Now let's put his name in there. And Donald Trump is also, excuse me, Donald Trump is 48. So 34 was murder. And then 48 is his name. So when you see that 348 fusion, that's what I'm saying.
At the,
That's what I'm saying. At this 348 mark, which is a fusion of murder and his name, which I've always tracked that. Notice it says, and full of Christ. It's a very deep satanic movie, very anti-Christos. Cross symbolism. It's very vulgar. It's very nasty. And in the movie, the guy that played W, also in Sicario, is the lead. And so anytime you're playing a president, you're playing the Antichrist. And because all the presidents are simply representations of the Antichrist, and because the final president is the Antichrist. But notice this 2/2/2026, that harkens to Groundhog Day, which that's also a potential, of course, high watch time frame. I would say February 1st would be the day to look out for the event. And then the rising would be February 3rd, which is when the movie took off going forward again at the very end. So that's something to also, of course, look out for. Now, let's get on with how and why we're looking at New Year's Eve. Now, New Year's Eve, by the way, comes to Christmas Eve. It's a match. New Year's Eve right there. And it's going to match Christmas Eve in the simple gematria. So let's do it again. By the way, it's a match for 42, 39, and 35. Also 101, 101. Also 155. But there it is, Christmas Eve. And there it is, Miami Dolphins. Now, we're going to get into how the trident is represented by the dolphin. January 6th is also a connection for New Year's Eve. 136, which would mean 631, which would mean 361, all of them. But there's New Year's Eve down there. So Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are matches for each other. So is Grasshopper. We remember that from that TV show. Oh, Grasshopper. But Wake Up Dead Man, September 6th, November 26th, December 12th. Well, Wake Up Dead Man to January 2nd, which would be the rising dead. Now, there's a full moon on the 3rd before the sun comes up. So that's interesting. It's 21 days. Wake Up Dead Man's other day, November 26th. Let's run that also. That's a perfect 37 progression. 888 hours. Remember, 37 is prime number for the church, and 37 divides into 111 all the way through 999, which of course includes 666. If you divide into 111, you are going to then divide into 222, 333, 444, 555, all the way through 999. The other Wake Up Dead Man is September 6th. Might as well run that. It's 116 days to the event day, 118 days to the rising. Remember, 116 is a backwards, upside down 9/11 and what they showed us in Back to the Future when they were doing the Lone Pines Mall, Twin Pines Mall scenario. By the way, it's 144 minutes, this Wake Up Dead Man. 144 represents End Times Church. All right. So let's get into the Zapruder film date of when Mr. Big put us on the LOCKDOWN after the illness was declared 2 days previous on 3/11.
Select arm system type. Arms day.
And notice it's 2,121 days on the rising day. 121. 121 is Antichrist and Simple Gematria. If you run the 3/11 date of 2020 to New Year's Eve, it's the same. So you see what they did there. It's also a perfect 303 weeks. Very interesting. Wake up dead man in the URL. 143-64480. And it was just a second. All right. So now Indiana won the national championship. I'm sorry, Indiana is the number one team in the nation in the college football national championship, and their symbol is a trident. And I think we get into that here. Yes, the trident. Indiana's logo is a trident. Yes, the Indiana logo for the University of Indiana is a trident, a symbol formed by interlocking the I and the U. That's pretty fascinating. All right. And I went through a prep, tried to look at everything else too. Let's just continue. So 9/11, 2001 to our rising day, 88, 79. 79 is murder. So it's kind of like saying, his last name is 88 in Simple Gematria. And of course, it's all about murdering the church, murdering during the Red Horse, but it's still 8877 on New Year's Eve. So the 88 is there no matter what from 9/11. Also, there's a total solar eclipse on June 21st. I'm sure I already looked at that. 8961 on rising day, 8959 on event day. Okay. The Donnie Darko date, that's what I wanted to look at. Forgot about that. That's where we kind of left off. So Donnie Darko 119-2001. And so it's 9/11, 4 days, 9,114 days to the rising day, 9,112 to the event day. It's also 2,18736 on the rising day. Anyway, let me see here. Blah, 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 blah. So when he wore the mask, if you run that to the rising day, it's 2001 A Space Odyssey days. So when he wore the mask at Walter Reed, it was the first time he wore the mask. Bane, the mask, movie, the mask. So it's 1,999 days on event day and 2,001 days on rising day. That's a really big deal. So Epstein stuff, like it just doesn't go away. And so when you run him to New Year's Day, 26,643, it'd be 26,645 on rising day, 3,806 weeks, 3,805 on yeah. Okay, anyway. Let's look at So the symbol for Poseidon is the trident. And the number one team right now is Indiana, and their symbol is the trident. It says as much. AI overview. Yes, the iconic logo of Indiana is the trident. And in No Time to Die, they did refer to him as the trident or as the Psy when they were tracking him. And if we were to look at No Time to Die to our event day, and it came out October 8th. So it's 1,545 days on event day, 1,547 days on rising. There you go. There's your 45-47 combination. Perfect. When she sang the song No Time to Die, 2,148 days. And 148 is his name in simple gematria with the middle initial J. So these are absolute direct hits with No Time to Die. So the Poseidon adventure film. Now look at Poseidon statue. 1877. And there's your 187, which we've talked to you about many times. 11 times 17, the Bible verse, Zechariah 11:17, the right eye wound. Bible verse 11 times 17 is 187. And the 187th prime number is also 1117. That's impossible, yet there it is. And so Poseidon, represented by the fish, the dolphin, the horse, the bull, and of course the trident. It says right there, trident, fish, dolphin, horse, bull. So there's your Miami Dolphins perfect season. Miami Dolphins also came to New Year's Eve when we did the Gematria search. So there's that film, The Poseidon Adventure, and there it is in the URL 0069113. So 911 is fused with 113. Remember, 911 was all about rising, Revelation 11:7. So the URL put forth by the AI, which is the ghost has been in the machine for over a century. We're pretty sure there's been computers longer than they said, and it's always been the ghost in the machine running them. So when you run this December 12th, 1972, by the way, 117 in the minutes, Revelation 11:7, which that's what 9/11 was all about, because September was once the 7th month before Julius Augustus bumped them all up to, like October, Octagon, Octopus was once the 8th month, and so on down the line. So if you look, and 12/12 is when I started looking into the Poseidon Adventure, which was yesterday. And it came out 12/12, 1972. When you run that to the rising day, 19,377. That actually connected magically to a personal cipher. So I'm just going to leave it at that. The Miami Dolphins' perfect season culminated on January 14th, 1973. It was Super Bowl 7. 7 is the number for cleansing. Welcome to the end times. When you run that date to our event day, 19,344. Number 34 is murder and one of the 4 base ciphers. 44 represents 404 verses of Revelation. But it's 52 years, 11 months, 17 days, 1117 fully coded right there, perfectly coded to perfection. Indiana the Trident, so on and so forth. Hang on just a second. Looks like my volume got dropped. I'm not sure when that took place, but my apologies. Hopefully it's sounding back good again. So we look at other ciphers to this date. And those are all personal, aren't they? Sorry about that. And yes, that's also personal. You look at the date of 12/31, when you put 12/31 into the gematria calculator, Ivanka Trump pops right up. What are the chances? Alice in Wonderland is next. Then watermelon, then Wisconsin, then New Orleans or New Orleans. Divided by 9, Flower Moon. Who is Batman? Let's run the Batman date to this date that we're looking at. So Batman came out in 2022 on March 4th. $1398, which would be a perfect 1400 on Rising Day. Well, what do you know? Top Gun Maverick, 1316 on Rising Day. And you look at 2018, 720, which was Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, which is all about 9/11, Here We Go Again. Nothing too big there. When you run the Dark Knight Rises to all of this, same when you run the Dark Knight to our darkened right eye date. It's a perfect 153,000 hours, 153 fish, 17 years, 5 months for Revelation 17:5. So you got some pretty good markers there. Revelation 17:5 is Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots, capitalized. If you run it to the premiere date of the Dark Knight, you do have murder code 79 in the days, 6,379. When you look at the Dark Knight film, the Dark Knight Wikipedia, it does have that premiere date on the 14th in New York City. July 25th in the United Kingdom. Well, where are we at? Let's look at July 25th in the United Kingdom. 6,368. We do know that 68 is his name in the same cipher that matches Antichrist, telling you who he is. So that's a big deal. Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it. The film Hoosiers, as Indiana right now is really big in college football with their Trident. 14,292. They are 39 years, 1 month, 17 days. So you have 9/11 fused with 11/7 on the event day. The CDC, when you track the illness, when you track their illness website, big doings. It really began on New Year's Eve, 2019, over to New Year's Day, and then January 2nd also. Over to that full moon we have this year on January 3rd. So, yes. Big deals abound. It all seems to really get cracking then, doesn't it? Yes, it sure does. All right, what else do we have? Donald Trump wearing the mask on 7/11, 2020. like we said, when you run that to the event day, 1,999, we already documented that. The song New Year's Day, 1983, January 10th. When you run the date of the release, it does hit 97 on the days, 15,697. The 569 is Gigantica in my personal realm. By the way, that's to New Year's Day. So it's 15,696, 697, and 698. Remember, the 98th verse is the White Horse Crowning Bible verse of Revelation. It's 42 years, 11 months, 22 days. 11/22 is the date of JFK's event. Let's now move to, that's it. That's it. That's the end of our prep. And this will begin New Year's Eve event part 1. I'll have a playlist on every channel. All 3 channels, Trey Stokes Archives. Yeah, all 3. If you want to know all 3 channels, I put the same stuff on all of them now. So I had to create different ones when I was getting shut down back in the day. But I now know how to do videos without getting shut down. So anyway, love you guys.